Welcome to Stuck in My Mind podcast, the show where we dive into the mind of a regular guy on his road to self-discovery. You'll hear everyday people just like you share the latest topics, personal stories, and things they've learned along the way. And now, please welcome your host, WIZE.
And welcome to another episode. I am your host, WIZE, and I have a very special guest. She's an international author, a filmmaker, a talk show host, and an inspirational speaker. Welcome to the show, Elizabeth Monroy.
Hey. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you. It's an honor to be here, WIZE.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. I appreciate you coming on the show. All right, so first off, what is the infinite human?
Oh, God, that's a good question. Well, as I wrote on the blurb, I think I sent it to you. 30 years ago, I was working on my master's in mental health counseling, and I was writing, a paper for my thesis, and I just started writing, there is emerging on the face of the earth a new human, an infinite human. And I was like, wow. And after that, my computer was struck by lightning. And, I recovered the paper and I turned it into my professor who said that the idea was kooky. And he wrote it on my paper, this is kooky. And, but, the idea stuck. And since then, it's taken me on a spiritual adventure around the planet into, higher dimensions, into spiritual phenomenons, cosmic downloads, and a lot of esoteric knowledge that I got from along the way with my twin soul, who was a physician, Peter Monroy. He's no longer with me in the physical, but he's still with me. And we met our spiritual teachers, and we've lived all over the planet, and we tried to basically change what has been happening to modern medicine, which I think now has become weaponized.
Yeah, it's big business right now. It's all about business. That's all the modern medicine is. It's especially here in the States. Especially here in the States where these big pharmacy companies have a stranglehold on what's going on in this country. So yeah, I believe in holistic medicine. I believe we can heal ourselves if we really focused on it and really learned these things. But they have us believing that there are natural remedies out there for us when they truly are.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was our first book, The Pathway Home, which was basically, we were saying that healing is it's not just, getting a shot or taking a pill or getting, an organ pulled out. It's not just physical either. It's physical and it's also emotional. You have to heal your emotions. You have to heal your mind from the beliefs that you have. And it's also a spiritual wound, so it's physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual healing. And actually, Peter was very technical. He was one of the pioneers of laparoscopic surgery. So he was technological, but as long as it was used, in conjunction with holistic medicine, we were trying to integrate the two and only use the technology to be non-invasive. If you had to have something happen, do it the minimally invasive possible. So, he was an obstetrician, so he set up like birthing suites and hired midwives and made like homey little areas in the hospital so that the baby would be born natural, unless, of course, there was, a problem, and then it could be, brought over, because you don't want to neglect all the progress that modern medicine has done. But unfortunately,
Sometimes you have to use advanced science. It's what it's called in this situation. I'm not saying that all medicine is bad, but it's just these big pharmaceutical companies want to make you believe that it's all about their medication and nothing else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, we had a chapter in there. You just can't mix business, money, the black magic money system, with healing, because you're creating customers, not cures. It's not um, economically good business to heal people. So we have that, and we also have a lot of other very dark agendas running under current that have unfortunately integrated into about every aspect of our lives, but predominantly in medicine. And that's what we see going on right now. And, that has been pre-programmed and planned for a long, long time. In fact, you can follow some of the very powerful families like the Rockefellers, who through their generous donations to academia have pretty much altered the course of medicine, and moved it more into this technology that is not really about organic support, organic ascension, organic life in general. Okay, it doesn't support that. There's an agenda definitely to move us into more of an AI, artificial, humanoid planet where they're creating robo mosquitoes. I've seen. I mean, there's a whole agenda there that I don't know if you want to get into it, but it's definitely in my book.
Awesome. Yeah. No, and then and yeah, you can, like, recently, a lot of people have been watching Squid Game, and I just haven't. I refused. I just, for some reason, I haven't wanted to watch it, and it's
What game?
because
I'm
I
sorry.
feel
What is it called?
it's a movie on Netflix called Squid Game, the Squid Games, whatever. But I haven't watched it. I don't think I'm gonna watch it because I just feel it's just another distraction. It's just to keep us distracted, and it's just, for me, I just have other things to do. I have a message to share. I have positive content to put out there. I'm not focused on the distractions and all the negativity that's going on. I'm just focusing on bringing out positive content and something to help people develop and grow.
Well, I wrote a chapter on preemptive programming of Hollywood, hooray for Hollywood. And I'm a filmmaker, I studied in LA, and then I chose to extricate myself from it. And I started film school in Florence, Italy several years ago. And I just, thank God I intuitively got a hit that I needed to move down here, and I'm in Sicily now. So I'm like with nature, completely with nature, kind of just let go of what I call finite earth, because basically our planet, whether you are admitting it or aware of it yet, it's gone. The planet that we know, the world that we know, is no longer. And there is a reset. So basically we're being offered a choice, So it's no coincidence. I watch preemptive Hollywood because I know all the movies. I talk about them because that's the agenda that they're herding us into. And I don't think it's any coincidence that my book has just come out. I mean, I'm still finishing a few things on it, but The Infinite Human, which began 30 years ago, is just now I'm giving birth to. And at the same time on like Prime, and it's probably on Netflix too. I don't have Netflix, but sometimes I just check it out and see what's going on. There's a movie that just came out with Mark Wahlberg called The Infinite.
Oh yeah,
Infinite. I mean, it's no coincidence. Okay, there are no coincidences. Now, of course, mine is about organic ascension, about returning to the higher, dimensions, and beyond, and reclaiming our organic divine technology, which is, our actually, we're not supposed to. It's a long story, but we have many more than just 2 strands of DNA, and we have a lot of capacities that have been hijacked. Now, The Infinite, which is very dark, very satanic, and it's all about AI, artificial life forms, where he goes in this med bed and has his, all his past life memories regained, and he's fighting against this guy who wants to, they all have recalled their past lives now. So he doesn't want to reincarnate again. So he's destroying all of the planet with this machine. I mean, it's so trite, but it's very, actually it has a lot to do with what's going on now. But so there's, like what I say, organic and non-organic. And I think especially in the States, we need to remember that, because there's so much GMO out there. There's so much artificial stuff. There's so much, we've been so removed from nature. We are forgetting how incredible it is to just be with nature and be the way, God created us, and not have all these, I think we're giving God, we're making technology our God in a lot of ways. When the truth is, it could be a stepping stone. We're communicating on cyberspace right now to what I refer to. I used to talk to my husband. I say, I sent you a T-mail, instead of email. I sent you a T-mail. That's a telepathized mail, because we have those capacities. We really do, and they're coming back now as we ascend physically, and our Earth ascends, and the vibrations are rising. So that makes sense.
Oh no, it makes a lot of sense. Believe me, to me it makes sense. To some of my listeners maybe not, but to me it makes sense. I'm all into vibrations and energy, and so I understand what you're talking about, because with my first wife, we had that kind of connection where I would think something and it would pop in her head and she would spew it. And even with my wife now, I'll think something and she'll just come out and say it. So no, it's there. There's connections there. Those are little things that
women
I'm
are good
aware of, that I realize.
Yeah.
Well, I know.
That's our job. We've got to stimulate that, okay, I'll go off on that today, because today I was getting all this stuff, coming to me about the feminine energy, the divine feminine energy, because the divine feminine energy is that intuitive, nurturing, loving energy. And you don't have to, think hard or go very far to look around the planet today and realize it's been squelched. It's just not allowed to be on this planet. And I did just a short video on my channel today called The Woman Wound. And there's a wound that, women have suffered, God. And just speaking, like right now I'm speaking out, but if I did that, like I'm in Sicily, in Europe, a few hundred years ago, I'd be burnt alive at the stake for doing that. We have not been able to say what's on our mind, to speak out, to be intuitive. And I really feel like now is the time, but I see a lot of women are very frightened to really open up that throat chakra and really say it like it is, because we do live in a very fallen, very corrupt world that's been used with the masculine gone wild, with the misogyny. And, I'm not saying that to bash men, because what happens is when the women lose, the men lose. And when the men lose, the women lose. But we're meant to come together, as twin souls in a herogamic union of love, of balance. And that's our power. In fact, according to Plato, we were one at once. Plato had these little breadcrumb trails, and we were one, and we were split in two because the gods were angry at us because we were too powerful. We weren't, paying homage to them. And now our job is to come back together. And, that's the sexual alchemy. And, that raises your kundalini and your chakras and leads you into enlightenment. And of course, that's been equated with, that's a whole story there about, how if you're sexual, you're not spiritual. That's a whole story. And then Eve, we could say Putana Eva here in Italy, which means, Eve, the prostitute, the whore that was caused the downfall of all mankind, So it's like, we get all the blame, like put the blame on Maine boys,
It's, what it is. I'm not a religious person. I am
Mm,
not a religious person. I'm more of a spiritual person. I believe in higher powers. I believe in the higher being. I believe in, in a lot of things that maybe a lot of people will not say they didn't believe in, but that's not me. That's not
mm,
my first wife. She was really into Sylvia Brown, Louise Hayes, and Hayes Book Farm, and all these publishings, and she made me more aware into my chakra and my energy and the vibrations that I'm putting out. And this is something that I believe in. This is something I feel deep down
mm,
within, and it shows with the energy that I'm putting out and the guests that are coming back and the guests that I'm attracting, the people that I'm attracting into my show, and the energy that I'm attracting to my show.
mhm.
That's all me. That's the energy that I'm putting out, and the message, and the energy that I'm putting out, and just the response. That's just me attracting the people that I want on my show.
Yeah, yeah. And more and more people are going to just start, ascending or becoming more conscious, awakening. It's in the air. It's the vibration is going on, which is why what is going on the planet right now with anyone with eyes to see, we're in the midst of a frequency war because as you ascend, you reach true freedom. And the powers that have, co opted the planet, that have kept us down, that have kept us, 9 to 5, consume, 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 just living just desperate lives, lives of quiet desperation, I think Ernest Hemingway said. And, that's not the way we were meant to live. And we are, as we raise in frequency, we are waking up from the dream spell. We're waking up and we're realizing, wow, we don't have to be these slaves in this prison matrix. But they don't want that to happen, so we're seeing a lot of AI, artificial stuff happening, and we're seeing people herded into this artificial ascension matrix of AI. And AI, what's AI? It's your artificial, it's the bad copy of your divine technology. And like I said, it can be a stepping stone, but you see everything. I just had to leave the States because everyone was always on their iPhone all the time, and there's a time for that, sure, I do that. I make videos. I'm here, I'm in front of a computer right now. But then I also, went swimming in the sea today, sat in the hot springs, talked to people eyeball to eyeball. You have to ground yourself in the physical too. And pretty soon they want people to just, be like, have little, micro computers inside the graphite inside their bodies right now. Hope I said it. And connect them, to the SpaceX fence that our dear friend Elon Muskrat put up around us, and it's just a low orbiting kind of thing that is really messing up the natural, harmonious, magnetic flow of our planet, of our planet's auric field, have you, or just so we're that's what we're feeling. I don't know about you, but a lot of people are feeling this kind of like bipolarness, like bipolar is like the latest, everybody's bipolar. Well, how can they not be? We're in these frequency wars of up and down and up and down. So I don't know if you have that feeling at all, up and down.
No, well, of course, it's it's just with everything that goes on in life, you have these ups and downs. But for the most part, I try to just not let outside influences disrupt my energy. Like really not try to. I try not to let I try not to let anyone near me that drains energy.
Yeah, that's important.
So
That's really important right now. Yeah,
yeah, so
it's really,
for the most
it's
part,
really important. Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead. No, go ahead. It's really important.
It's really important. You really have to protect your energy field, and do the best you can in these times. I can't tell you how important that is. Knowing what to protect yourself against, because unfortunately, I don't think wearing, not breathing and, injecting yourself full of, dubious substances, artificial substances, AI substances, and, staying indoors. I don't know how it was there, but here the lockdown was so severe, and everyone was so full of fear. And I didn't ignore it. I just ignored it because I knew what it was from day one. But it was really difficult because people just couldn't hear you. They were so full of fear. And that's not good for your health. Meanwhile, the 5G towers are going up. I moved down here. I'm very sensitive to 5G, and I kept moving away from it. In the States, it was there way before this. It's still there, believe me. And then they put it in Florence while I was, and then I moved down here to Sicily, and I felt great, because I didn't feel that. Then they put it during lockdown, and I could feel it. So, even if you shelter yourself in a Sunjai, panel room, it's still affecting you. So, so I think people need to be aware of that, because a lot of people think, oh God, I'm so suicidal. What's wrong with me? There's something wrong with me because I feel so bad. And, or even if you're assimilating higher frequencies, it's called ascension symptoms. It makes you feel really burned out sometimes too. And you just have to pass out for days at a time. So I see, and I just look on Facebook or some social media where health problems, people are having rashes all over their body. People are having brain fog. I mean, people are sick, and you can call it whatever tag word you want, COVID-19 or whatever. People are ill. And you have to realize they're casualties in this war of frequencies. It helps to know what's going on and not think it's all your fault all the time,
No, but it kind of is, because we consume all this stuff that is not healthy for us, like these fast food joints everywhere. Around here, there's nothing but fast food places, and I live in the mountains in Pennsylvania.
You said it though. You just said it. Around here, there's nothing but fast food places. Okay. I bought my car. I lived in LA for a while. I bought a car in Santa Monica and drove back to South Carolina with the car. All I could do was get off, and it had McDonald's, Burger King, Holiday Inn to stay in. That's it. That's all the choices. Sicily, the farmers grow the food right underneath it's olive season. Everybody's going to be out picking these incredible olives, this olive oil that you can't even get in America because they don't ship it out. I mean, the fresh fruits and produce come every day. I cook everything from scratch, So it's important to realize what they've done to our country. This is my country too. And I grew up on that stuff. I grew up on fast food, TV dinners, I write a whole chapter about that. There's an agenda. There's an agenda. It's not just a coincidence. There's a reason why you can't, where it's really hard and very expensive to get. And that's why I really see the future. And many people are feeling drawn to move out of the cities because they're becoming just so toxic. Get some land, because, everyone's talking about Bitcoins and money and investments. Well, that's all what we've been brainwashed to think is valuable. But what's really valuable? Food, healthy, clean food, right? Land with clean water, with sunshine. That's what's going to heal you and cure you. And if you can get the radiation from the SpaceX weaponry, 5G weaponry that's all around you, we got to deal with that. But, create a nice community and grow your own food, work together. People still do that here. They trade a bottle of wine from their vineyards for a bottle of oil from their olive trees. It's which is why I moved here. It's still it's very down to earth, literally down to earth. And I think that's what we need to realize. How many times do people trade their homes, their land, their cars for a piece of paper from the bank? You don't own anything, it's all up in cyberspace, and it's ones and zeros in a banker's computer that they just whipped up, and then they charge you interest on it. And you're left holding the paper, literally. They own your home, they own your land, they own, everything. So I just feel like, especially with Americans, this is the first time I've talked about an American podcast. I did a British one last week. But, God, America, God bless America. I call it the disunited state of America. Every divide and conquer works so well there. Put it in, oh, Republican, Democrat, black, white, mask, not mask, vax. Now it's like anti-vax, right? I'm not up to date with all the tag words, but God, it's like, meanwhile, the controllers are just spinning their webs around us, and we're doing just what we want them to do, fight among ourselves.
Yeah, that's how they distract the masses, have us fighting with each other.
Yeah, divide and
And
conquer.
I'm like, they like, oh, this guy is amazing. He's a Republican. Oh, this guy's amazing. I'm like, none of them are amazing. None of them are for the people. They're all for self. They're all for about. How is it that you're a public servant and your constituents is poor and suffering, yet you're coming out of public service, multi-millionaires? Multi-millionaires.
Yeah. Follow the money. Follow the money, and see where they're giving each other all the money. They're taking our money and they're giving it to each other to create this prison matrix. I can't tell you how much money was given to Elon Musk to create this prison matrix around the planet. It's the solutions are not going to come.
It's going everywhere. It's just ridiculous. It's not.
But
It's not about people.
the good news is there's good news. Okay, I know, because everyone's like, I think we need to realize everything is corrupt. Everything. It's a put-up job. It was created corrupt. We have to come to grips with that, and that is a lot of grieving. I mean, I call myself a conspiracy therapist nowadays. I'm a conspiracy therapist because it's true. It's all true. And you're going to see how true it is every day. If you open your eyes, you begin to see more and more of these draconian mandates. Hello. The signs are all there of what's happening. And because the old earth is falling, it is not working. It never worked, but now we're just seeing it. But as we ascend in frequency, we're going to get out of it, like coming out of the clouds, and we're going to go, wow, God, that was horrible. What was I thinking? How could I stay in there so long?
Yeah.
Lifetimes, eons. But we're starting, each of us right now, we're at the phase where we're popping our heads up. Sometimes we're getting slapped back down. But at the same time, we're starting to see each other, and we're going, wait, I don't want to do that anymore. Do you? No, that sucks. Let's do something different, And people are starting to create communities, new technologies that are safe and clean, self-sufficient communities, living homes, things like that, where you don't have to feed your home. That's huge. Just think how much you feed your home. I mean, my family lives in a place in Anchorage, where there's a lot of really wealthy people. And, they don't live there anymore, but people, I would walk around there and they'd have huge homes that were sat empty. Why? Because they were out working 9 to 5 or 24/7 to pay the mortgages. So you pay your mortgage, you pay your taxes on the whatever to the city and the state and the trash people and the insurance and blah blah. You're feeding your house, and then you go out and then you go to the supermarket and pay them for food, and by the end of the month or week, you don't have any money. Some people are one paycheck away from being homeless. God, that's just insanity of humanity. That is insane. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting things to change. What if you had a little piece of land and you built something like an earthship? I know they're like, oh, so, granola or whatever. I think that's what people call them. But, people live like that here. First of all, you don't have to pay tax on your home, and you have a place. You build it. If you could build it in harmony with nature, if you could, harness the sun, grow your own food, trade with other people, right there, you live for free. And anything else you do is a perk. You can do the things you love to do. You don't have to chain yourself to doing some horrible job in a little tiny cubicle, doing something you hate, going into a toxic environment with toxic people and ruining your health because you hate what you're doing just because you get health insurance. And, coming home by the end of the day or the end of the month with no time, no money, just surviving. That's I call it the Babylonian money magic chains of the debtors prison.
Yeah.
So that would be one little thing that people could start moving toward, positioning themselves to, getting outside of this matrix, getting out of it. There's a prison matrix. I think most people would agree with me. I don't know. Nobody's out there. Anybody out there?
No, not yet. This is not. It's not. It's just being recorded. We're not live out there yet. But no, it is. It's just so many different things that they use to control the masses, and people just need to wake up and realize, like, listen, we need to start standing up for ourselves. We need to start taking control and stop letting these people dictate how we live our lives. Like, you're programmed to go to work 9 to 5. I seen a meme. It's like the average American average lifespan is 78 years. You're 78 years or whatever. You work till you're 67, and that means you enjoy the last 11 years. Like, no, I'm gonna enjoy my life now while I'm still can. Like, why do I have to wait till I'm 67 to enjoy life?
It's crazy. It's crazy. But that's the key. The key is, it's not necessarily taking out the cabal, or getting all the bad guys. We have so many people that are just waiting for someone to save them, whether it's a POTUS, whether it's here in Italy, it's so Catholic, the Christ is coming back, or everywhere, or, the good aliens. I mean, there's always some scenario of something out there. So when you ask me what infinite is, in fact, I have a whole chapter. The infinite is exactly that. Everything, all that is, ever has been, and ever shall be. And it is you, yes, you. You are infinite. That's how I start all my broadcasts. I always say, you are all that is, ever has been, and ever shall be. You are divine infinite love. You are divine infinite source. You are divine infinite truth. And we, the people, are that. We are all God. Yes, God is in everything because God is omnipresent, right? That's what even religion says that. And I start out that religion is actually the problem with everything because religion split God from us and made it something outside of us that we have to pray to or sacrifice to, tithe to, give our money to, give our power to. And that's not the real God. That's an imposter God. But God, is just the energy of love, of intelligence, of beauty, of grace, divine divinity that is inside of all of us. So we are all God, and we, the people, are all one. And when people realize that, they would never hurt another person because we're all one. We're all connected. We would never, I mean, it's like the trees. I mean, commune with the trees, the Deva spirits. This is how the ancients, are the original Aborigines. The original people on our planet lived before. Well, mostly it was the white people. Before the white people arrived, everywhere a white person came, the indigenous people died. I mean, just here in the United States alone, the Native Americans was huge genocide, carefully crafted by these Illuminati families. I'm going to say it, Rockefeller. They gave the donations of smallpox infested blankets to freezing women, Indians, Native Americans. Slavery, what did they do there?
But these are things. These are things that they want to take out of the books. This is what they don't want to teach. They don't want people to know they want to be washed away from their sins and all this. They don't want this to be known. They don't want this to be taught. This is they feel like, oh, it happened, get over it, move on. No.
Well, they're doing it again, because let me tell you, the history that we think is history is not the real history. And again, with this generous contribution of the Rockefellers, who would never fund any kind of research or archaeological sites, digs that would disprove their narrative, everything, there's the flood, and then that's it. There was nothing before the flood, and it washed away everything. Well, that's just not true. And now more and more they're finding all kinds of archaeological proofs that there are civilizations and cultures much, much older than the Sumeria, Mesopotamian, the golden fertile crescent that is in Iraq, where most of the truth that was the war was all about, basically hiding that truth, just finding it, taking possession of. The military went in, U.S. military, the One World Order arm, went in and took all that information. But gosh, I can't tell you. I have to write in my book about proof, because I've lived here in Sicily, I've lived in the Canary Islands, and those are the mountaintops of Atlantis. Plato talks about Atlantis, but nobody else will ever refer to Atlantis with any kind of serious, face. It's not scholastically accepted in academia, thanks to the Rockefellers and Lemuria. But this earth is so much older than we think, and all this has been taken out. And now they're, with the Great Reset, they're doing it once again, because they want us to be in this AI world where nobody knows about slavery. How can we not know we're slaves if we can't? I mean, I wrote about this in my book because I lived in South Carolina, Orangeburg, and I read the Slave Diaries, which is really the Slave Chronicles. Incredible. They're actually journalists who went down to the South under Roosevelt. He funded it. So they interviewed a lot of the slaves who were still alive from the Civil War. They were like, and they're almost 100 years old, and they were interviewing them. And they had excerpts. Well, you weren't allowed to travel without permission. You weren't allowed to read or write, get educated, and you had to stay, of course, you were a slave on your plantation. You had to. There's a lot of pictures of them, muzzled, and I was like,
yeah.
Isn't there some parallels there? I mean, can't we learn from history? What happened to these people? I lived in Pawleys Island next to the largest plantation in the South, over 2,000 slaves, and I took the little tour, and it was all about this boy who died because he had an appendicitis and a doctor wasn't called. So no health care. And I lived in South Carolina. Nothing had changed. I didn't have money to buy my self-insurance, and I had no health care either. I mean, in the food, they had a list of jobs they had to do till the end of the day. They couldn't go to sleep until that list was finished. Every child, even old people, they all had a list. And you just talked about people now working till they're 67 and then like dying. So we need to know our true history, what really happened on our planet, so we can learn from it and not repeat it, because that's what they say, history repeats itself, because we don't ever learn from it. So anyway, got my soapbox there. Sorry.
It's you're absolutely right, because even Lemuria, people don't know what that is. They hear that and they don't know what it is. It's another civilization like Atlantis that has been erased from history, and no one wants to acknowledge it. These are things that I learned with my first wife. She's, like I said, I'm not a religious person.
What happened to your first wife? What happened to your first wife?
Well, she passed away. She passed away in the fire accident.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, okay. I was going to
Yeah,
say,
no,
wow,
but
you sound like good goals.
she helped me. She's the one who got me onto my spiritual path, path, and helped me awaken that side of me to start being
She
able
sounds
to
amazing, amazing.
oh no, she was a beautiful spirit, a beautiful soul. She touched a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
people. She was amazing.
yeah.
So that's why I'm able to even though when I lost her, I went down a dark path and I was lost for a few years. But I'm back. I found a woman. I found love again. I'm with someone who's also she's very strong willed. She's very open
Good.
minded and helped me get back on my path of spirituality and just self development and just growing again as a human being.
Well, that's interesting because that's very similar to my story. You know, having lost my husband, and I tell about that. It's very hard, and I was lost for a very, very long time. But I think I realized when I was able to move past my grief and raise my vibration and frequency high enough that he never really left me. For my story, you know, he never really left me, and and in fact, his name's on the book. We wrote the book together, and I'll be there like, "Oh, Peter, this is so you. This is so you." You know, it's just, you know, and when I say when you're a twin soul, you actually become one, you know, and I've actually felt him just become the masculine side of me, you know, divine masculine side of me, because, you know, it's something I've needed to do to balance the feminine and the masculine, which we all need to do. So, yeah, sounds familiar. It's tough when you lose someone in the physical.
Yeah, no, it's a different experience. It does open your eyes a little bit
Yeah.
more to the world and reality and just being able to yeah to me it made me realize like life is precious. Every moment that we have here
Mhm.
it is precious, and my goal is to use it wisely and to learn my lessons and apply them to my life and share my message and share my purpose
Mhm.
and be able
Mhm.
to express myself and help as many people as I can
Mhm.
and can just continue to be me and just I'm still growing, I'm still finding myself, but each and every day I feel the authentic me is coming every day.
Mhm.
The real me is really coming out every single day because again I'm still growing and developing. I still have my flaws, I still have my moments, but for the most part am truly living my authentic life. I do what I
Mhm.
want to do, and eventually I'm gonna, I'm very close to it. I keep saying I'm very close to it, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna stop punching in the time clock and really focus on me and focus on what I want for my
Mhm.
life and for what I'm trying to build.
Yeah, you know, I was just getting the sense that you are really coming into your true self, your authenticity, and I think that only happens, unfortunately, with sometimes with a lot of pain. I know for me, that was my story. The hardest lessons, you know, the hugest lessons I've ever learned have come from a lot of pain. Um, so I always say, you know, I say how I learned to love the dark side or my shadow self, because, you know, and I've had a lot of you know, difficult challenges, but I always know now, even when they're coming, you know, it's like I go, okay, I know this is like purging me of like densities, or you would say, or purging me of my shadow self, of old hurts and wounds and blames and cosmic rage that I've had, you know, not just this lifetime, but many, many lifetimes. And I think a lot of us are going through that, the dark night of the soul, you know. And I certainly did, you know, with when I lost Peter. And but it really, you know, I'd been kind of a, you know, spoiled brat, you know, happy go lucky. My life had been really really easy. I've been very spoiled. And it just gave me more depth, more compassion for other people and their pain, just more depth, facets to you. So I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but at the same time, I think everyone's going through it to some extent now because our world has changed. People have lost
Yeah.
people, loved ones, jobs, the old familiar world is, and that's grief. That requires grief, So,
Yeah.
so we're all going.
But Elizabeth, this has been amazing. This has been awesome. I appreciate you being on. Now is the time where you plug away and let everyone know where they can find you, where they can get your books, everything.
Okay. Well, right now, just everything. I'm kind of gearing everyone toward my website, infinitehuman.com. And if whatever I said resonates, please subscribe because that's the first thing. I'm kind of trying to create an infinite human family, a family feeling, help people to interconnect because I feel like as people begin to awaken, we're going to kind of want to find each other. Those of us that are awakening and from the dream spell and deciding we want to do things different. I think we're going to be coming together and I call it creating an infant new earth, a new earth out of this broken finite mess that we've been living in. And my book is available also as an ebook. Pretty soon it's going to be in print too. I'm kind of waiting to. I don't know if I want to get in the Amazon thing because I was in that, but I might get in there. But I really want people. It's really personal, so I want more people to come to my website. Buy the book because if it resonates, because there's so much in there and there's a lot to talk about. And I'm going to create a forum. I'm also going to start doing podcasts. So the last person said you got to do them. So I'm going to start doing a podcast based on really finding solutions and living the solutions. And I want to find people who are getting out, who are whatever, starting communities or, starseed investors, investing in things that are outside of the
The
whole
norms,
matrix.
yeah.
So that's the first step. So you can find me at infinitehuman.com. That's the best place. And I also have a YouTube channel, Infinite Human Productions. I do videos every day and, just lots of stuff. But come to my website because you never know when you're going to get censored. And I have been so censored. So.
So no, we'll definitely I'll put it in the description and all that when I release the
Thank you.
podcast and when I release the video as well. I'll put it all in the description so they can check out your website. But
Oh,
Elizabeth, this
great.
has been great. I greatly appreciate you coming on the show.
Oh, I
It's
just
been a
love meeting
blast.
you. You're an
Yeah, see,
amazing
and
person and an
you was
amazing
I,
soul. Yeah.
I know, but see, at first I understand why you was when you was a little
I'm sorry.
defensive when you came on because I understand, I get it, I understand you was burned and I get it,
Oh my
but
God. The
but
first time I ever did an interview, and I was so naive. I was like, oh, I'm so glad that somebody's going to listen to me because my blog had been taken down. My Facebook account, even the name Infinite Human had been taken over by two ex-military women. And they were running around doing videos going, hello, Infinite Human, before this whole pandemic thing. So I knew something was up. And this guy was like, we want to hear what you have to say. I'm like, great. I was all, goody two shoes. Yes, this is what's happening. And they took it all out. So I was upset.
I'm glad we were able to connect and I was able to share your
You
story and
changed my whole karmic feeling about that. Thank you.
good. I'm glad I was able to
Yeah,
help with that. Thank you,
yeah,
appreciate it.
you did. You
But
helped me out.
this has been awesome. I appreciate you
Yeah,
coming on.
likewise. Thanks for all you do. It's wonderful what you're doing for the planet. I'm so glad to see that you're being your true, authentic self and just putting out the good vibe, the high vibes.
Thank you. Thank you. But let me
Okay.
just give my quick shout outs. Don't leave just yet.
Okay.
All right. So big shout out to my real wise family, Poppy J, Brandy J. Love you guys. Big shout out to the boss lady Fina. Love you, baby. I appreciate you. And as always, big shout out to all the essential workers out there. God bless you. Be safe. And you know how your boy Wise does it. Peace out.
Thanks for listening. Listen on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, and TuneIn. Find us on social media on Twitter at WIZE_B_blunt, Instagram at WIZE_B_blunt, and a Facebook fan page, www.facebook.com/WIZE76. Check back soon for new episodes. Until next time, peace out.